Hello and welcome to Introduction to Unity 3D. This is the second tutorial in the series. In this tutorial we're going to have a look at the interface of Unity 3D, just so you can get your bearings and understand what you're looking at here. Now, in the first video I pointed you to unity3d.com, where you would have downloaded Unity 3D and installed it on your computer. When you open it up, you'll see something pretty much similar to this. Aside from the fact that this is a project that I've already started, so I have a few more objects, a few more assets in my project view here. So let's start with the project view. Okay, so the project view, which is down the bottom left here, is essentially the same thing as what you have essentially the same thing as Windows Explorer. So it's a file explorer. This is where you keep all of your assets, like your textures, your meshes, your sounds, your materials, all those kinds of things. You can see as I flick through here, I've got different file types. Here's some scenes, and here's some scripts. You will notice, though, as I'm pressing buttons, it appears on the screen here. That's just so, as I'm going through these tutorials, if I do use any shortcuts, you can actually see what I'm pressing on the keyboard. Okay, next to the project view we have console view. Console is where the program displays all your debug information. This might be things like errors that the program's encountering, any bugs, warnings, anything like that, or just any information that you want it to print out. We won't be using this very heavily during this tutorial series, but it's nice to know that it's there. So if you see anything red flashing up in the console, it's likely that you have an error and that's something you need to investigate. Okay, top left here, Hierarchy tab. So the Hierarchy tab is essentially a list of all the game objects that exist within your scene. What we have here is a main camera and a directional light. Now, a simple way to think about a 3D scene is much like a movie set. For anything that's happening on the movie set to be seen on the television screen or your computer screen, you need to have somebody there with a camera filming it. So this camera here acts as the point of view of the player or the camera in 3D space. That will become more apparent in later tutorials when I get you to set the camera up to frame your scene. Okay, so next up we have the scene tab here. So this scene tab, which you can see me flicking around and navigating around in, is a way for you to navigate around your scene and place objects. So if I want to create a cube, for example, I can do that. Start moving things around my scene. I'll show you how to do this in the next tutorial. Okay, I'll move this camera up so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, now there's a game tab next to that. So they share the same space, but they're tabs, so that you can select one or the other. The game tab here is showing what this camera here is seeing. So you'll notice I'll get a little preview in the bottom right hand side here when I have a camera selected. If I move that and go back to the game tab, you'll see that that's reflecting what that camera is seeing. So the game tab is essentially, could be called the camera tab really. It's what the camera is currently seeing. Okay, now here on the top right hand side we have the inspector. Now you'll notice I've currently got the main camera selected, and the inspector reflects what I've currently got selected in the hierarchy view. So this main camera has a bunch of different components. One of these components is a transform, a camera component, and a bunch of others down here which we don't really need to worry about for the moment. I'll talk you through those in the game objects tutorial and what each of these mean and how we can control objects with these components. The only other thing that you really need to know about in regards to the interface for this tutorial series is there's a few different buttons up here which allow you to manipulate objects, which we'll go through in the 3D transformation and manipulation tutorial. You can rotate them and scale them. So I'll be showing you shortcuts to access these as well. And then there's the play button at the top here. This is essentially starts your simulation, or starts all of your code executing. In this case, there's nothing happening, so it doesn't really matter. It's not really doing anything at the moment. But if I click that play button again, it stops. Okay, that's a brief overview of the Unity interface. See you in the next tutorial.